Minasan konnichiwa. Welcome to episode 133 of Good or Garbage, the number one place where you can find out what stuff is being sold in a division on a weekly basis. And this week there are quite a few pretty nice things being sold, including attachments and mods that I think a lot of you may want to look at. If you're a PvPer, there's definitely some magazines that you may want to take a look at. If you're looking to build up your skills or just make sure that you have enough health, there are quite a few mods that will help you out this week. So without further ado, it's pretty much time for Good or Garbage. And if you have not heard, or if you have not seen or checked out the merch store this week, I started a new thing of merch that's being sold. So if you guys want to come out and support the channel, maybe rock you some clothes so that way you can be featured during the live stream as some of the people who support the channel, then definitely go on over to the link down in the description and check out some of the new merch. And yeah, Good or Garbage, let's go. All right, now let's move on to the attachments for this week. This week at the special equipment vendor, we have a loud vent brake being sold with 19% critical hit damage, 5.5% headshot damage, 2.5% stability, and 41% increased threat. Now this increased threat is something to really look at because this is pretty low. Generally these increased threat monitors go up to 50 and sometimes over that, and to have 19% critical hit damage plus some headshot damage plus a lower amount of increased threat means that this loud vent brake is actually pretty good, a little bit better than it usually is. I see people usually look for the 19% critical hit damage only, and they don't take into consideration how much more threat they're going to be gaining. And if you have less of an amount of increased threat than someone else who's using a loud vent brake, this could possibly mean that the NPCs will look at them more than they will look at you. So that could be a very big benefit and something that you should kind of, take into consideration. This week over at Camp Hudson is a PvPer's dream. I would have to say the extended magazine with 119% magazine size, 5% reload speed, and a whopping 5.4% rate of fire. So with that extra reload speed plus the rate of fire plus the actual magazine size not being terrible, this is actually going to keep you shooting and getting your enemies burned down for PvP pretty well. The only drawback to this is because you have reload speed and rate of fire, you're going to be missing out on crit damage and crit chance. But if your build is not really spec'd for crit, this actually, if you're just doing raw damage, this actually is going to be pretty good for you because you're going to be able to shoot faster and you're going to be able to get your bullets back into the magazine and being able to shoot even faster. So this is a pretty good extended magazine, especially if you're doing a lot of PvP stuff. So you may want to check this out, give it a try and see how well it stacks up. Leave a comment down below, let me know if you guys pick this up, and if you do pick it up and you do try it out, definitely leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of it. Over at the Grindhouse this week, we have a small RDS scope with 13% stability, 4% critical hit damage, and 6% headshot damage. So I know a lot of people are looking for ways to make sure that their gun acts right, basically trying to get more stability in ways that they often neglect. And if you are looking for something like this to get a bit more stability but not sacrifice too much in terms of damage, because you will get the critical hit damage and you will get the headshot damage, then definitely go ahead and check this out. Couple this with whatever weapon that you need. Remember that it will work on smaller and larger weapons, so it does fit on the house, and it will fit on other things like a liberator or any kind of AR or whatever that you need to put it on. So if you need to go and pick this up, you need some more stability, some headshot damage and crit damage, go on over to Grindhouse and pick this up. If you're a Lone Star user and you've been looking for a nice heavy magazine spring that's going to give you that extra bump to rate of fire and still keep that critical hit damage and chance up, boy have I got news for you. In DZ9 we have the vendor who has a 4% critical hit damage, 3% critical hit chance, and 10 0.4% rate of fire increase. So if you are using Lone Star, this could work out very, very well for you. For all of you LMG users with the smaller magazine size LMG, this could work out really, really good for you to get that bonus chance to have that mini tack link. If you need to pick this up, it will cost you DZ credits, so keep that in mind. Just head on over to DZ9's vendor and check them out. At the DZ5 vendor this week, we have an extended mag being sold. This one with 111.5% magazine size, 4% critical hit damage, and 5.3% rate of fire. Now earlier I talked about the other extended magazine that's being sold this week with 119% magazine size, reload, and rate of fire. Now the rate of fire on this one is slightly lower, but you will get critical hit damage. If you're not interested in having reload and you'd rather have critical hit damage in your attachment, then this is a pretty nice compromise. The only real major difference is that the magazine size on this one is substantially lower and that the rate of fire is 0.1% lower, but you do get that 4% critical hit damage. If your build is centered more along the lines of having crit damage and having crit, then I would say this is probably going to be a better one for you. That 0.1% rate of fire increase is not really going to make a huge difference, but when you talk about the reload speed is going to have you back in there and shooting even more. So there is a bit of a trade-off, and with the smaller magazine size, this is something to consider. Which one of the extended mags this week do you pick up? The one over at Hudson or the one here in DC5? Now let's go take a look at this week's gear mods. This week over at the Cavern, there is an electronics mod being sold with 266 electronics and 2.5% exotic damage resilience. So if you're a little bit worried about fire or any of the things like bleeding and things like that, and you want to minimize that as much as possible, then you can go and spec in some of these exotic damage resilience mods. And with that much electronics, this would work out really, really well for any of the electronic centric build. So if you are looking for this, it'll only cost you regular credits. So definitely go and check out the Cavern this week. Way up in East 64th Street DZ9 territory, we have a prototype performance mod with 6% first aid self-heal. So if you are looking to keep yourself alive, if you're lone wolfing it, or even if you're in a team but you know you need to stay alive, then you can go over and pick these up. 6% first aid self-heals. Definitely a good mod to have in your stash. If you don't have them, go grab them. This week at Dante's Run, there is a prototype stamina mod being sold with 261 stamina, along with 3% signature ability resource gain. If you're trying to get your supers back even faster and you need health in your kit, then you can definitely go over to Dante's Run and pick this up. It only costs you regular credits, so hey, why not? Go ahead, grab it, use it. This week over at Camp Clinton, we have a prototype stamina mod with 265 stam and a nice 3,315 health. If you are looking for a stamina mod with some health, you should definitely go over to Camp Clinton and check this out. It will cost you Phoenix credits, so do be weary about that, but still 265 stam and 3,315 health. This is pretty damn good. Do not sleep on this if you need some health mods. At the special equipment vendor this week, we have a prototype performance mod being sold with 6% first aid ally heal. If your job is to keep your teammates alive and you're trying to heal them, then this is one of the mods that you will want to use, especially if you're using some kind of reclaimer build. So if you need a first aid ally heal, then definitely go over to the special equipment vendor and check it out. But please do remember that it will cost you Phoenix credits. At West 31st Street this week, we have a prototype electronics mod with 262 electronics and 3% skill haste being sold. Now, if you are looking for something like this to bump up your skill haste, maybe use those skills even more often and get the electronics punch that you need from having a dedicated electronics mod, then you can definitely go ahead and pick this up over at West 31st Street. Remember, it will cost you DZ credits, so you will need to have some of that DZ money. Go ahead and pick it up if you need it. Now let's take a look at the 280 to 283 gear score items. This week over at Camp Clinton, there is a Gear Score 280 Cassidy shotgun being sold. This one coming in with the talents Brutal, Talented, and Boomstick. So Brutal will give you, of course, extra headshot damage. Talented will increase your skill power by 15% for 20 seconds. So this could work out pretty well if you're using some kind of electronics build. You won't get a lot in terms of raw damage, but with Brutal you should get extra percentage, and also with Talented you'll get some more in your skill power. More than likely you will be wanting to use this with the Lone Star, just because you only have 2 shots in this, and being able to switch back and forth old school style with 2 Cassidys could still be a lot of fun. So if you're looking for something like that, definitely go and check it out. And also this week there is a Gear Score 283 First Wave PF45 pistol. This one coming in with the talent Cool Headed. Cool Headed, if you're not really familiar with this, performing a headshot reduces all skill cooldowns by 5%. So if you don't have Determined, but you can make this work, this could work out as a pretty decent sidearm to have, just to get your skills back even faster. So if you need either of these weapons, you can go over to Camp Clinton and check it out. Now it's time to wrap things up in the 284 plus gear score section. This week at the weapons vendor in the base of operations, we have a Gear Score 284 Officer's M9A1 sidearm. Now this thing is not going to win any awards, but I know that some people are looking for decent sidearms just to have them if they're trying to finish off their sidearm kills for their commendations or whatever. And the Officer's M9A1 is an okay one, really not my favorite, just because the amount of slots for customization is a bit low, but it does have a pretty decent base damage. Now this one coming in at 284 means that you're close to the top end of the gear score, so you can probably up this and get a bit more damage. And the talent on it is sustained, which is kind of meh, but if it is something that you're looking for, then you can go ahead and check it out. So if you need this, go ahead, check it out at the base of operations. And that, my friends, is going to do it for episode 133 of Good or Garbage. There were quite a few things that actually surprised me this week in terms of the mods. I really was not expecting that PvP mod, attachment. And some of the mods being, like quite a few mods being over 260 were pretty nice. I was a little bit disappointed that there weren't any enemy armor damage mods this week. Hopefully sometime soon we can get a 4%er. That would be great. And yeah, this week wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. As I said at the beginning of the video, there is some new merch, so it would be much appreciated if you guys would go and check it out. If you want to help the channel out, or if you want to rock some merch just to show people that you've been down with the channel for a while, greatly appreciated. And yeah, episode 133 in the books. Good or garbage. See you guys next time. Peace.